Audacy NFL insider Ross Tucker. Insider calls are brought to you by Nationwide for your insurance and financial needs. Nationwide is on your side. Hello, Ross.
What's up, boys? How are you?
Great. How was New Orleans? Fun town.
Yeah, it is. That's like high on the list of cities that are absolutely fantastic to visit that I would never want to live in.
Okay.
You know, I mean,
Vegas.
think about like Vegas, New Orleans, even at this stage of my life, New York City, you know, like incredible to visit for a weekend. Can't imagine actually living there. I mean, if I lived in New Orleans, I'd be 400 pounds.
Yeah, I get that. Honolulu, right? Remember last year you went out there for like one day? That'd be tough.
Twice. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. Add Honolulu to the list. Thank you, Mike.
Well, let's get right to Bills-Ravens then. I don't know if you were able to see much of it live. I'm guessing you're up to speed, though, of course. I mean, what a night, Ross. Another just Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson duel. Similar, I think, to a point anyway, to the playoff game where you had, you know, maybe the Ravens were the better team, but one or more mistakes did them in where the Bills were pretty clean and they pull out an unprecedented comeback, winning by, well, being down 15 with 4 minutes to go and winning in regulation. Pretty amazing stuff.
Well, so a couple of things. One is my flight was delayed coming back from New Orleans, but I was able to watch a bunch of it live.
Okay.
But then I am doing I'm doing Browns-Ravens on Sunday for CBS. So I've already gone back and I've already watched the entire game, the tape of it. And what occurred to me is that on some level, the Bills do to the Ravens what the Chiefs kind of do to the Bills. You know, it's like the Ravens might have more talent or the Ravens might get the better of the action, but then somehow, some way late, you know, the Bills find a way to make the plays and the Ravens have a series of unfortunate events go against them. You know, I mean, like, you think about Derrick Henry never fumbles. He fumbled. Ed Oliver had a terrific game, by the way. But, like, the tipped ball that Keon Coleman catches for a touchdown, you know, the missed extra point, it really is crazy how many things had to happen for the Bills to win that game.
Yeah, I mean, to have a game where your quarterback throws, Ross, 251 yards in the fourth quarter, 2 rushing touchdowns. I mean, we've said so much about Josh Allen already in his career here, but it was another. I mean, that's a good game for most normal people. Like even really, really good quarterbacks were like, it's not their best, but it'd be like, yeah, you know, 250, couple of rushing touchdowns, one on to next week.
He'd be fantasy quarterback 3 just from the fourth quarter, something like that.
Right. I mean, do you run out of? I mean, we talk 20 hours a week about these games, sometimes more. You're doing these games, you're doing all these podcasts. Do you run out of ways to talk about how great a player is?
Not him. I mean, I'll tell you guys a couple things, right, that you're gonna like. Hopefully, number one, watching the game live after I did Cardinals Saints. And let me just say this, like, Spencer Rattler played pretty well for the Saints, and Kyler Murray played pretty well for the Cardinals. But as I'm watching that game, I'm just imagining there's got to be like 20, maybe at least 20 fan bases watching Bills-Ravens. Just, it's like that meme from Napoleon Dynamite, like, I'll want that, you know, like just wanting a quarterback like that so desperately. I might even post this. I was thinking during the game, if there were no salary cap, I would love to know what the true value is of like Josh Allen to the Bills franchise, like the value creation from him, because I got to tell you guys, it's more than what he's getting paid, right? Like,
Triple.
if Josh Allen were truly a free agent and any team could sign him, man, he would get a lot of money. I mean, he would get a lot of money because not only is he exactly what you're looking for as a player, you know, he's big, he's durable, he's tough, he's strong, has a big arm, he's fast, all those things. But I've only been around him a couple times. I know people that are friends with him. He's like the greatest guy. So I just want all the Bills fans driving right now. I just can't emphasize enough how happy you guys should be, how blessed you are to have him as your quarterback. Because if you watch him on TV and you think he seems like a good guy, he is. I mean, he's even better than that. He's like the greatest dude. Somebody, we have a mutual friend, and they called him a Labrador. You know, like just that type of like happy puppy. You know, like that's him. He is everything you could ever want in a franchise quarterback, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say, you know, if he was truly a free agent and any team could sign him, I don't know what the number is, but you're talking $75 million, maybe more than that, because he really is worth it.
Ross, just also on the game, you say you're sort of prepping for Baltimore. A tipped pass is a tipped pass. A fumble is a fumble. Is there more? Like people immediately went to the Ravens losing more often than anybody else with big leads, which, you know, they also have big leads all the time. So that would be they'd be more likely to fall into that category. But, you know, too conservative in the playoffs. For me, when I watch them and they lose these tough games, it's like Jackson needs to run more. I sort of have that kind of basic reaction to their games. And, you know, he has a great run the play before the Henry fumble, then nothing the following series. Do you have a take like that? Like when a comeback like that happens, I feel like more of the spotlight is on the team that lost and how they did it.
Yeah, well, I think the part, like some of that stuff's fluky, but what's kind of unacceptable to me is the 2 catches they allowed at the end of the first half.
Okay.
In order to be able to get, you know, that field goal at the end of the half, that's an unacceptable one to me, right? Like that is, and I can't remember, I think it was the second one got out of bounds, like no chance you allow them to have 2 big catches and get out of bounds. That felt like something the Chiefs would do to the Bills, not to bring up bad memories, but
no, you're right.
That is unacceptable. And then similarly, I would say, you know, to allow some of the deep balls that they did late in the game. I mean, if they really just, if they were able to do what they did and not give up those big plays, they would have won. And then in the last 3 series, Lamar only ran it, okay, 1 time, and he got a first down.
Yep, 13 yards.
That's the other thing that to me would be pretty unacceptable is like, wait a minute, what are we doing here where we're allowing this guy, like we're only having the ball in his hands 1 time? I mean, he's the guy that makes it go. He's the guy that is the difference maker, and so that would be pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I think he shies away a little bit in these big moments sometimes. The end of the half is a good one to bring up. That was another play. So, Ross, it's 20-10, and the Bills are at the Baltimore 47 with 8 seconds. That's one of those plays where you can hold everybody. And, you know, the Bills don't have a timeout, so if Allen goes, good luck to him. But you got a new kicker, like maybe not as long as the average guy. That's one of those plays where you could get up on the line and just hold everybody at the line, 5-yard penalty, and all right, now what do you do? 2 seconds, you're at the 42.
Nah, they added some rule the last couple of years that if you do that, they'll give them the 5 yards and the clock will go back.
Oh, damn. All right, never mind.
Yeah. Everybody.
That used to be my favorite thing. Now I have to stop with that.
Now, which is why they got rid of it.
Okay, well, that's good. They should have then. That's right. There was a way to sort of game the game.
Ross, obviously the end of the game is the thing that's been talked about the most, but the other 55 minutes of the game happened too, and the Bills had a very tough time, to say the least, handling both Jackson and Henry. Just the Henry rushing was just a terror to watch. How worrisome, because on one hand, they've got the Jets coming up this week, and the Jets had a pretty good day running the ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not as good as Baltimore had against Buffalo, but still pretty good. Fields is athletic, not as good as Jackson, but still challenging. And I just wonder, is it just a bad matchup, Baltimore? You already said, the Bills do to Baltimore kind of what Kansas City does to Buffalo, but in a different way. I like the matchup against Kansas City more than I do against Baltimore. I think Baltimore is more capable of just putting you down in a way that the Bills very, very infrequently have that done to them.
Well, it's funny. We've talked about this before, probably last year. By every statistical measure, the Ravens are the best team in football. You look at yards per play, they are the analytic darlings. But they're also a really good example of that is not what ultimately matters. What ultimately matters is whether or not you win the game and how you play when it matters most. And the Ravens are the regular season champs of the world, and they have not found a way to get past Buffalo or Kansas City in the playoffs. But you're right. There's part of me that feels I do these power rankings on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast every Tuesday, and I think the best way to do a power ranking show is to say, who would you pick? Who do you think would win a best of 7, like a NBA or baseball series in Wichita, Kansas, or my backyard, some neutral location, right? And the answer is I feel I would take the Ravens. Because I feel over time, they're just a better team, and they would win more of the games in a series. Their problem is it doesn't feel like they can win the one that counts, the one that matters in the playoffs.
Wichita, by the way, another city you might like to visit but not live in. I think I've just been there a couple of times, and I'm just going to throw that cheap shot in.
Hold on a second. You've been there?
I have. I've been to the dog track in Wichita, by the way. That's
living right there.
Like a place. That does not seem like a place I'd even want to visit.
Well, I'm not going that far. Insider Calls brought to you by Nationwide. For your insurance and financial needs, Nationwide is on your side. How about if we haven't totally covered it here, the AFC landscape after week 1? Kansas City loses. The Worthy injury, Ross, might be big. Cincinnati, 7 yards in the second half. Houston, 9 points. The Dolphins and the Patriots, not to mention the Jets, who may be impressed but still lost. It was already kind of there was a top tier, Ross. Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say this about the Chiefs, but is it maybe more likely than it seemed a week ago that Buffalo, Baltimore, or even Kansas City are going to come out on top?
Yeah, probably. We talked about this last week, but I cannot possibly state enough how important it is that the Bills got that win. This whole season, these next 16 games are all about getting the number 1 seed. And now they have a game up. That they have a game advantage on Kansas City, who looked vulnerable, and on Baltimore, who I don't know if I'd say they looked vulnerable, but they have a game up on those guys. They got to keep it. The Patriots didn't look very good. The Jets maybe look better offensively than we think. The Dolphins looked horrendous. If the Bills aren't the number 1 seed this year, they're never going to be.
When, right.
Yeah, this is the year. And to win that game Sunday night, that's probably the difference. Or could be the difference, right? That's a huge, huge, huge factor. And now the Chiefs have to play the Eagles, which is interesting on Sunday, probably the game of the day, but another very losable game for Kansas City.
While we're on the Chiefs, what did you think of the Chargers? Are they? I feel like maybe this did come up last week with us. Are they a team? It's only 1 week, I know, but could they be the team that sort of cracks that top tier, the top three that we've talked so often about?
That would surprise me, but they look pretty good, man. I mean, Herbert, that's about as well as I've ever seen him play. And maybe more importantly, the Chiefs are already getting banged up with Xavier Worthy out, and, I don't know how long, and Rashee Rice is suspended. So now they got to play these next few games, you would think, without their two best receivers. And then, the Chargers kind of, I thought, beat them up front on both sides of the ball, which I thought was really, really interesting and probably noteworthy with them going against Philly on Sunday. So certainly the Bills fans, you guys have a heck of a day on this upcoming Sunday, right? You cheer on the Bills to beat the Jets, and then at 4:25, you got to root like heck for the Eagles to beat the Chiefs and drop the Chiefs to 0-2. That would be gigantic.
Ross, I want to ask you about Jalen Carter. So we found out a short bit ago he'll not be suspended for spitting at Dak Prescott. He did get a fine. They're counting the game he missed by being ejected basically as his suspension. I thought about you and you had that game, I know, and we also saw Prescott spit on the field like a couple seconds before. I'd love your take. I thought about you because I was thinking that in dog piles at the line of scrimmage, I feel like there's probably been some spitting. Like this is one where it's sort of before the play and the camera's on it and it's plain to see. But as a lineman yourself, I wondered if hopefully not, I think, but maybe there's been worse. There's been that, or whatever happens in the trenches.
Yep. So two things: unbelievably unacceptable, obviously, and just insanely selfish to do that to your team in that moment. And interestingly, I was spit on in my face twice while I was starting for the Bills in 2004. I don't know. I guess I just had that effect on people.
It was the uniform.
But once was against Cleveland at home. Once was at Cincinnati. The Cleveland guy, I don't know how he did it, but he must have maybe there was a TV timeout or something, because for him it was not spit. Like, he had a mouthful of water that he spit in my face. But I think that guy had some mental health issues, and I just didn't want him to kill me or, break my arm. And then the Bengals guy, this is back when, I didn't say anything after the game, and this is back when I guess there wasn't enough cameras for them to catch it. Obviously, the refs didn't see it. The Bengals guy, I remember screaming at Marvin Lewis, the Bengals head coach, because, I knew him from my time with him in Washington, and I wanted him to send the guy back out so I could try to break his leg, but he did not.
He wouldn't.
So I've actually interacted with the Bengals guy either on text or social media, and he's embarrassed by it. So I'm not going to say these guys' names.
Okay.
They were in their 20s and they did a dumb thing. It's not like I don't need to 20 years later literally bring it up and get them in trouble. But to answer your question, yes. So interestingly, only ever happened to me twice in my life, and it was the two Ohio games in the 2004 season, infamous 2004 season with the Buffalo Bills.
Back-to-back weeks. That team, you lived it.
Was it back-to-back weeks?
Yes. The last 7 games where the Bills were on that roll, including the Steeler loss at the end, 29 takeaways in those 7. More than 4 per game takeaways by the Bills defense that year. Wow. It's just what an incredible run that was in 04. Well, wonder if those that you filled the story out they were young, but I wonder if some guys that's their thing. Just this is the thing that I do when I can't control myself anymore. I'm just going to spit at you. Anyway.
So I think you guys know this, but Trey Teague was the center when I was with the Bills, and I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but Trey Teague was the center when I was at the Bills, and after a game one time, he told my wife's father, at the time my fiance's father, that I was the meanest guy in the NFL, meanest guy he'd ever seen or played with. And my father-in-law kind of laughed and smiled. And then, he drove back to Pennsylvania 5 hours after the post-game tailgate. And he tells the story now that, about halfway through the drive, he was like, wait, my daughter's marrying the meanest guy in the NFL?
Do I want that?
He thought it was cool in the moment when Trey said that to him. But then when he was driving home, he was like, that doesn't sound like the person you want marrying your daughter. And McNally always said that about me too. I don't know. I don't think I was mean. I just thought that was the only way it was fun. I wasn't out, blocking people is not fun. Trying to really kill guys and throw them to the ground and smash them, that's what I enjoyed about the sport. I'm not one of those guys. Oh, I miss the camaraderie in the locker room. I miss the violence. You can't replicate that anywhere else in life.